Hello, and welcome to another episode of Yascast with me, Yaseen. This is episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my god, we've made it to 4
Real.
episodes. Real, thank you. Real. This is episode 4, the second episode to actually be named in chronological order. How do you feel about that,
I'm
Julia?
honored. I'm fucking honored.
Today's guest is none other than the lovely sister of mine, Julia.
Hi.
Hi. That is at Julia at ep.moe.
Sleepy.
I pronounced it Japanesely instead of Englishly for that extra charm.
What is the English way to pronounce it? Mo?
Like Mo, like the character from The Simpsons. Right?
When people say that, it just...
Yeah, like if I pronounce it ep.mo, it's like, it's not a character from The Simpsons, but just sleepy.
It is. I don't watch The Simpsons at all, but I think he's the bartender.
He is the bartender. He is the bartender in The Simpsons. Like any Japanese word that is like romanized into English, you gotta imagine that the E has an accent on the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I always think about it. So it's a kitsune instead of kitsune, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's so good to have you on here, Julia.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
so how are you feeling? You doing good?
I'm doing good today. I got some good sleep last night for once.
Fantastic.
This just in, EPMOA admin Julia does not actually sleep well. Controversy ensues.
Controversy ensues. Oh my god! When the guys hear this, they'll be all over you. Right?
Shitting bricks, literally.
Shitting bricks. So, how long have we known each other? Actually, it's been a considerable.
Well, I do know I've been on Fedi in total, I think, 7 months now.
Really? It's weird because you have like the air of someone who's been on here for like ages. Like it feels weird that I've been on Fedi longer than you have.
I understand why people say that. I've always been in that like subculture that like Fedi gravitates towards. Mm-hmm. And so I get like the feel of someone who's been there for a long time because I'm in like the Fedi like realm, but not on Fedi for a while. But then Mia Void Rehab,
an icon.
Yeah, literally an icon, the only poster on the Fediverse.
Wait, she's the only poster on the Fediverse? Damn. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. She every account is an alt of hers, including mine.
I'm an alt of
yes.
Mia? That makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Like, only Mia could dream me up. True.
We are all a hallucination of Mia. She should take her meds.
Yes. Just as soon as Mia takes the meds, like the entire Fediverse we all disappear. The entire Fediverse collapses. Right? Like, all that's left, all the GitHub pages, all the funny themes, like all the Mastodon, all that stuff, it just fades. Right. All that's left is like the raw code of like the first ever activity pub.
All that's left is GNU Social.
Oh my god! Well, which GNU Social? There's like 100. There's like no. I'm thinking of GoTo Social.
GNU Social was this implementation that I think started before Fedi, but it was like this Libre one led by the Free Software Foundation, if I'm not mistaken, and it's like really jank and like. Like more so than Akoma. And my experiences with Akoma have not been good because I've only really been on Akoma to like vibe check other people's profiles. And the amount of broken Akoma instances is honestly quite dumbfounding. Like I was trying to scroll down a feed one time and it kept like reordering the posts as I scrolled.
Wow.
I don't know how that happens, but it did. Thanks, Akoma. Very cool.
I'm obviously a big Akoma stan, a big
Akoma Chad.
And then Tacoma Chad, yeah, that's right. So hearing that is something I've never experienced.
Yeah,
but I believe you.
assume most
But
instances are configured correctly. This one just wasn't. I don't know how they managed to fuck it up that much, but they did. Which is,
I mean,
honestly a testament.
It is a testament. I mean, Koma is. I don't know. I think what about a Koma that I love? Because obviously I've tried Macedon, I've tried Fish and Key and whatever derivatives you can think of that sort. And a Koma for me has been like this nice little middle ground between the simplicity, the visual simplicity of Macedon, and the kind of the feature set of the Fish and Key instances. Yeah. I've tried Miss Key and Fish Key, and I always felt a little bit overwhelmed by just how much there is.
Is a lot on.
There's a lot, and as a testament,
they just keep adding more.
and as a testament to the many different forks of the original Miss Key foundation. But for me, Akoma, it is, it is nice. It is simple.
It's comfy. It gives me small web vibes, which I
that's it. I think for me it's part of that. Actually, you just remind me. In a way, it probably is like an unintentional nostalgia on my part, because obviously I'm like a little bit under a decade older than you. God, and and so Coma kind of reminds me of like the early web. It actually, in some way, kind of reminds me of like being on LiveJournal. In terms of the simplicity, the jank in many cases.
Hell, Akoma literally lets you write some HTML in the form of Markdown, italics, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is neat, and it's kind of comfy. I wish script injection wasn't a thing, because then we'd probably still have like basic HTML allowed in posts on websites, but we can't have nice things on the internet.
Can you explain what that means?
Okay, so the reason why, on MySpace, if I'm remembering correctly,
right? Yes,
you could just write raw HTML.
Yes,
not everything, I assume.
No.
They probably disallowed quite a few things, like I don't know, probably the more visually distracting things, like the mark, or however you pronounce it. I can't pronounce a lot of words, by the way. It's just me being stupid.
Okay.
So I apologize for that in advance. It's just a quirk. A mark, like text that slides by and scrolls back on the other side.
Right. No, Julia, you're very mistaken, because that would happen all the time on MySpace.
Oh, it would? Okay, so then I guess they allowed that element.
A lot of MySpace. God, why are you taking me all the way back? Like this is MySpace was crazy, because you could customize pretty much anything, any part of it, with just a little bit of HTML know-how, and people would even share tips and tricks.
Sweet! So it's like co-host in a way. That's nice.
to do more on your MySpace page. Like you could. I remember very clearly, like, people would have insane visual elements. When I say insane, I mean not like cool. I meant they would clash with each other, and they would be overwhelming. And you could have like autoplay stuff. So you'd go on someone's page, and they
and you just get like hamster dance or something.
Yeah, or people would just play. People like add a song that they were vibing to at the time, and that would autoplay. Beautiful.
Taken away by the horrors that is, you must click the web page before it can play audio. So sad.
Some people did forget to remove the old song that they had on autoplay. So occasionally you would go to someone's page and there'd be like 2 or 3 different songs playing at the same time, because they'd forget to remove the old ones. Or maybe they didn't forget, who knows. But the cursor, they could hijack the cursor to make it like change shape. So a different one from the standard one. Basically, I mean, as far as I'm aware, I never really got into that kind of stuff. I think MySpace was just I only got involved in MySpace just before the end times. So in that period where Facebook was becoming cool. I know that's a weird thing to hear.
Yeah.
Where Facebook was becoming cool and
MySpace
was becoming stale. I mean, late MySpace in comparison to early Facebook was that Facebook's minimalistic and clean design, which was all the rage in terms of like general design aesthetics at the time, was a sharp contrast to the messy, cluttered, and oftentimes overwhelming experience of visiting MySpace. So Facebook was cool because it looked good, it looked nice, it worked nice, and
you guys
at the
want
beginning,
my Facebook Rice CSS? It's gonna look great.
But yeah, and it was just a more pleasant experience. But of course, the things that MySpace and Facebook were kind of different in what they did, in that MySpace was basically about making a space for yourself on the internet. So kind of like how NeoCities is today.
Yeah, NeoCities.
Right? NeoCities is very MySpacey, and how I've visited other people's NeoCities, and their NeoCities just really takes me back to being on MySpace.
Yeah, I like NeoCities. It's cool.
Whereas Facebook, at least in the early days, was more about connecting with individuals that you knew in real life, and I think that was a very prime kind of audience. And especially, I joined Facebook in like 2009, so I would have been in year 9, so I would have been about 13, 14, and the amount of like things you could and the thing is, Facebook was relatively open in its early days in terms of what like plugins, I forgot what they're called, like extensions or plugins, whatever, you could use. One was this thing which allowed you to, there's this one extension that like everyone had installed, and it allowed you to throw things at other people. So so I would like throw sheep at my friends like all the time.
That's pretty funny.
One time I threw Hillary Clinton at my aunt. And in real life, she was like, Yaseen, you shouldn't be throwing Hillary Clinton at people. And I'm like, okay. A little while after, Facebook removed all these fun utilities and then became like a very dry corporate place that eventually facilitated genocide in Myanmar.
Yeah, every time I hear that, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that really did happen. What a world we live in.
It really happened, and the reason why is fascinating to think of from both a technology standpoint and from a sociological standpoint. Let's go back to like 2017, right? Per se, okay? So that kind of late 10s. Facebook was a more integral part of the social and political landscape than it is now, where it's just primarily a boomer fest, okay? Facebook in most places is just one part of the internet diet, okay? So you'd get stuff from Facebook, but you'd also have other places on the internet that you go to get information. Now, the context for the Myanmar situation is that the then semi-democratic government of Myanmar decided to open up the country, and that included letting telecoms and internet companies into the country.
Oh boy. That's always a good idea.
Yeah. So if you can compare places like the West, like where you and I are, there has been like 20, 30 years of internet usage already ingrained. So there's already been that kind of establishment of what the internet is for. Now you consider Myanmar, which before before democracy was a very closed off, very isolated, and mostly kind of semi-agrarian society. You bring in these, and when Myanmar opened up, the gold rush was incredible. You had companies like Telenor, which is one of the largest telecoms companies. They're Norwegian, and they set the first network in Myanmar. Now, data is expensive, and it was back then too. So Facebook took a very good economic opportunity here, which is this country has opened up to the world, to the internet superhighway. What they did was they partnered with the carriers in Myanmar.
Oh, and they made it free, didn't they?
Yes, they made it free. They made the internet free, but only the specific parts of the internet that Facebook would let you go to. Yep. So this has been a thing that Facebook has done in other countries too. And those countries have also had just a hint of political instability. Also,
wonder why.
Also primarily helped by this. And what this does is that it basically makes Facebook the internet.
That's just fucking great.
Because if it's free and data expensive, then just use the free stuff, right?
Yeah.
And this meant that Facebook was the internet. Facebook was the arbiter, the gatekeeper. And this meant that you would not understand, but Facebook's market penetration in Myanmar after only a handful of years was something like...
Probably like, what, 70% of the population using it or some bullshit? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the entire adult population of Myanmar was on Facebook.
Jesus.
Facebook's algorithms, as you know, are designed to...
They're basically predatory.
Yeah, it's predatory. The algorithm's designed to push as much engaging content as possible.
If something gets you angry and in the comments, that's what it feeds you. Because that keeps you engaged. It makes you angry. And you want to fight like my mom, who's a fucking keyboard warrior, spending like a half hour on her damn iPad typing out an essay to, like, I don't know, an uncle or something. And I'm like, Mom, just ignore him.
Leave it alone, right? But of course, the tentacles of the algorithm have gotten into your mom's brain. Now, imagine your mom, but add that to a country that just opened up to the internet and has significant sectarian tensions going on. And you get, essentially, Facebook being complicit in spreading hate speech and essentially...
it's kind of what they allow with the Facebook groups in the US with the Proud Boys and shit. Like, it's happening here, too.
It's happening there. But in this case, you know, the entirety of Myanmar is on Facebook, and they're all seeing the same horrible, racist, awful, bigoted shit.
The internet itself is racist. Real. Confirmed.
and that sparks violence in real life. That sparks the disinformation war that the military in the country put through, and that really literally did accelerate an ethnic cleansing in the country against the minorities, the Rohingya Muslims.
Love that. It's the best, you know?
Just the best. It's just the best.
Dear God.
It took place for like 3 or 4 years to appoint their first Burmese-speaking moderator, which meant it was just left unchecked. And the same kind of happened in very similar ways.
There can't be hate speech if you can't read it.
It's not hate speech if you can't read it. That's true. And Facebook's free internet plan is also in countries, was in countries like Ethiopia, the Philippines, India, and Nigeria. Those 4 countries are notable because of guess what? Sectarian and ethnic tensions. In the Philippines, for example, they had Robert Duterte and his war on drugs, which didn't really do much to help drugs, but it decided to spark a little cleansing here and there. The same is true in Nigeria, and of course in India with their multi-ethnic society. And so that's what Facebook did in Myanmar, and it is a travesty that Mark Zuckerberg is not in front of Hague, because it is very clear that the Facebook administrators knew that this would happen. They know what the algorithms do.
Yeah, they can know. It's just that the profit incentive is enough that they don't care, because they can pay off the bill of anything that is put down on them. Even the multi-billion-dollar lawsuit was probably not all that much for them. I mean, yeah, multi-billion dollars is a lot for you and I, but like at the end of the day, to them,
it's nothing.
I mean, it's maybe like what, probably 2% of their yearly revenue or some bullshit. I
mean, Facebook. I think Facebook.
It's hard to figure out what their actual income is like for the company, because it's just so fucking huge.
It's incredible to think of just how big some of these companies are, that their entire yearly revenue is equivalent to
entire countries.
And they're like mid-sized countries too. Like Apple is worth like $1 trillion or whatever.
Yeah.
And that in itself
they could pay off like probably not anymore, but the last time I heard that like US debt was at like a couple trillion. They could
right.
pay off a significant portion of American debt, but...
Yeah, I mean, Musk bought Twitter for, what was it, like 44 billion, wasn't it?
45 billion, I think it was.
45 billion. $44 billion is enough to fund like half of the UK's entire high-speed rail network that was projected.
Oh my God.
Like, not the tiny rump that the government has left over. Like half of the entire original plan could have been funded with that purchase.
Dear Lord. Well, and the thing that what rubs me wrong about the Twitter buyout isn't, I mean, fuck Musk, fuck all the white supremacists that are still on it. I mean, I have an account on it, but that's just so I can view porn. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
I don't have an account anymore because I got banned.
I'm going to delete it eventually once the artists move, when they realize that everything is being fed to AI now, including our artwork, which is that hasn't been really told to them enough. But what gets me angry about it is that they didn't think about what would be better for like society, because Twitter was a pretty damn big website, right? Like it was massive. Like, think about when January 6th happened. Like, it was on Twitter. Like, I remember sitting there and watching my feed go on January 6th.
Yeah.
I remember it distinctly because it was the day after I installed my first Linux distribution. I was like, finally, I can watch political discourse, but on Manjaro instead. I don't use Manjaro anyway, or anymore, if anyone is going to scream at me about that, because I got off it a long time ago. But all this to say that, like, all they cared about was maximizing what the stakeholders wanted, and what the stakeholders wanted is they saw this big number waved in front of their face, and $45 billion divided between all of them is still like enough to live off of comfortably for every single one.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because of the buyout, that's just how it went through. And so they didn't really think about best interests. They were more concerned about money, which is telltale to like 90% of society.
yeah, exactly. It's the truth. I mean, the primary responsibility of any publicly traded company, of which Twitter was, is to maximize as much shareholder value. And I mean, selling out for $45 billion, that's a lot of shareholder value. All that money went straight to the shareholders, you got bought out, and they made a pretty good
ton.
I mean, if you think of it this way, right? Twitter never made any money in its entire history.
No social media is profitable, which is why I like Fedi, because the distributed model of it makes it so that A, it can't die, and B, it doesn't need corporate funding.
It doesn't need corporate funding.
The individual instance admins might need a little bit of money to get by, but like, at the end of the day, anyone can host an instance, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because, you know, posties and such. But
yes, you're right on that front. I mean, you can host an instance on like a decapitated MacBook. You already have the MacBook. That's free. You're already paying for the internet.
And like, people joke about the whole decapitated MacBook thing, but like, that's a real thing in production. Like, there are microservices that literally run on Josh from IT's old laptop or some bullshit, and it's like a laptop that just says, "Do not close this lid." And it's sitting there and in production, and there are companies doing this, and I hate web shit.
I recently learned that the entire like time zone database thing is hosted by like one guy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is, but stuff like that.
Like one guy whose entire thing is to update like the map of to update the time zone database. And I'm thinking, but there's like,
it's like the Wikipedia people that are like there immediately when a celebrity dies to edit all of is to was. He's that guy for time zones.
Right. Yeah, and I can't imagine how like insane that must be, right?
Imagine having to follow every individual state's politics to know every fucking county that, like, just, oh yeah, we're gonna switch into the next one over, or we're gonna divide this town in half because fuck you. There are two hard things in programming: cache invalidation and time.
Yeah, time zones are interesting to me from a just interesting in general, because the world is split into 24 time zones.
None of them are even slices.
None of them. And that's in an ideal world, everyone would follow this ideal solar time zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
As determined by the sun, with the prime meridian,
and just get used to the natural numbers. Crazy concept,
right? But there are many countries around the world whose civil time zone is completely wackadoo in comparison to their solar time zone, right? So what are our 24 time zones on this planet? Really, there's more like 27 or 28, because some countries are like plus 14, when in reality they should really be like minus 12 or something, because they decided many moons ago that trade with Australia, for example, was more important than their trade with the US.
Australia, Japan, and all the Pacific Islands, and how they trade with each other, so they optimize the time zones for that bullshit.
Exactly, yeah. So like one country changed their time zone from like minus 12 to plus 14, I think, because the trade with Australia was growing, whereas the trade with the US was lasting. If they were minus 12, they would be 1 day ahead of Australia all the time. So they changed their time zone so that they would still be in the same day as Australia, which I think is fascinating, because it is like, if you change your time zone, if a country changes their time zone, it's not like they're getting extra territory. It's not like they're getting like extra landmass or whatever. It's not like they're getting extra population. They're just merely changing their clocks, and it's.
And the way that gets recorded in the software is either entirely wrong and inaccurate, or it's just using Unix time, which then it then applies the new time zone to any past dates from that time zone, which just doesn't really work well. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, this time zone database guy not only does record all the time zones in the world at any one point, he also records their history too.
Oh, brilliant!
So he also records like the daylight savings too. So if you have a date and it was like 20 years ago and your time zone had changed then, that date in relevance to Unix time.
So he has a thing that'll like let you resolve a Unix timestamp to what time it was at this day in history, because fuck you, we're gonna change the time zones again.
Yes, exactly. That's yeah. I mean, time zones are kind of funny because there have been some silly ones in the past. Like, for example, the Netherlands. The Netherlands had a time zone of, I think it was UTC plus 11 minutes and 32.8 seconds.
Oh, God.
Precisely. So if you traveled from France, which was on UTC, to the Netherlands, you have to wind your watch forward like 11 minutes and 32 seconds. But don't worry, Julia. In 1938, they rationalized it to UTC plus 12 minutes.
Oh, thank God. That's such an improvement.
But then after World War II, during World War II...
they set it back.
No. Even more crazy. So in World War II, there's a little bit of a disagreement between some countries.
No way. You said
and when Hitler marched through through Western Europe, he also occupied the countries in between. So so the Netherlands, for example, and France are two main ones here. And so what he did was, when the Nazis occupied the Netherlands, they changed the time zone to be Berlin time, so UTC plus 1. That way it would make coordination easier. France, who was on UTC, changed their time zone to be plus 1 to align themselves with Hitler. And then the same happened with Franco with Spain, which was allied with Hitler. They changed their time zone to be UTC plus 1, even though they should be UTC. Right? But after the war ended, France, Netherlands, and Spain decided that they would keep
And I think all this is before UTC anyway, which is funny.
Yeah. All this is before UTC anyway.
This is the retroactive looking
It's
at
retroactive,
it's retroactive, UTC, but
yeah. And those countries still maintain those time zones, even though in reality they should be in UTC. Like, people in France and Spain and Netherlands are really 1 hour ahead of their solar time.
Having the wrong time zone makes you a fascist, confirm.
So the sun in the UK and the Netherlands will set at roughly the same time, the same solar time, but will be in completely different civil times. And there's countries like China, for example, which is huge and has only one time zone.
Oh yeah, fucking brilliant.
Because it makes for a wholesome, unified nation or whatever.
Sure, very, very unified, including the nations that are definitely part of China.
Right, yes, of course. Don't know, Julia, you're gonna get tankies on us for this one. No, you know what? Maybe those bad space folk are right. The Yascast is a controversial podcast.
Real.
How does it feel to be on the most controversial podcast?
I feel great. I'm finally going to be recognized for the hateful instance that I am so sleepy, but I am also vigilantly racist.
This is the true trans-to-trans-femme communication.
Exactly.
Oh my god, I haven't even. It's been like half an hour, and I haven't even got to the first question I was supposed to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, oh well.
So the first question I want to ask you, which we touched on briefly, then we stood well away. First question I want to ask you.
Oh right.
The first question I want to ask you was so you touched on this a little bit, but just tell me like how you found the Fediverse and what's been your Fediverse history for the past 7 months, and also as an aside, how is running your own instance?
Yeah, that's going well. Well, so I started on Fedi because Mia joined Snugmoe and would repeatedly send me like the funny gay shit posts from Fedi, and I was very much enjoying it. And I just before Cherry closed down account registration,
right?
I created an account, and it went off the rails very quickly because Mia being Mia, the Mia, well, one of the Mias of all time, Mia Void Rehab in particular,
of course,
and she had this huge following, and so like her boosting my dumb shit posts immediately propelled me to have like a I don't know why I have so many followers. And like it propelled it so quickly, and it got out of hand, honestly.
Right.
About what I think it was 6 months in, and that's around when I made Ipimoe, because like some of my posts, Cherry's a little looser in moderation than I am.
Yes, I remember.
I'm following many Fedi block lists to pay attention to all the hateful instances, because I don't want like any of my posts federating with that shit again, because the one time
I remember
there were just transphobes, and Jesus Christ, I don't want to. No, not again. Nothing against Cherry. I understand that like more laid back moderation policy is just her thing, and that's fine. But for me, a much more strict one is what I need.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful in that way, because you had the ability and the means to do things.
Yeah, to like
your own way.
my Fedi experience so that I'm not at risk of being exposed to
that
people
shit again,
that are just hateful for no reason.
It's funny because it's again, this is a common theme like every episode, but it's like it's interesting to consider that like everyone who has come on the show and talked about their Fedi history has always spoken about the value of good moderation.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
It is amazing, and it's amazing that if you're on a good instance like I am with Autumn, love you, Autumn, you are the best.
I love a woe is.
And you can feel like you are in a good place.
Yeah.
Snowden was a good place,
and it's like a tight-knit community.
Yeah,
but not like in a walled garden way.
Exactly,
it's open,
that's it.
But it's also tight-knit. Which is
exactly.
Brilliant, and it's just comfy and snuggly
it's
and
an EP. It's the value of good moderation is something that I think it takes someone like me who's been on commercial social media for almost the entirety of my teenage years and most of my adult life up to now. To really appreciate the value of good moderation. When I joined Mastodon like almost a year ago now, holy crap, like literally 11 months to the day, when I joined Mastodon, I still had the I still carried that little bit of baggage with me from Facebook and Twitter and so on, and so I would still kind of in that mindset of the self-censorship that you have to do in order to not get your posts fucked up by the
you have to like promote yourself as a brand, kind of, rather than be human. And
also just like in terms of moderation, so on Facebook, for example, if you write stuff like so one time
if you just try and write the N-word, it will be like maybe you shouldn't post that.
No. On Facebook, I got a 30-day ban.
Oh, really?
For calling someone a silly goose.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
So
you worse have than Twitter.
That's what. So yeah. Zuck is harder on this stuff than Twitter ever would be.
Calling somebody a silly goose.
It's not a slur. It's not hate speech. But that's what Facebook thought. So that's the kind of.
Remember, cisgender is a horrid slur, and you should never say it. Oops, I just said.
So that's the kind of thing that you have to deal with on Facebook and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So I had this mindset. I had to chat really quickly about this self-censorship because actually I can call people a silly goose. I can jokingly
be goofy. I can be a little silly.
Be goofy. Fella. I can tell
I can make jokes about killing the Queen of England.
That's right. I can make jokes about dropping a pipe bomb at the headquarters of GlaxoSmithKline, which is located at... No, I can't say this on this podcast. But yeah, so good moderation, I think, has always made a difference in terms of the Fedi.
So in having my own Fedi server, it's been a learning experience, but also...
Yes.
It's a very fun experience because, well, I'm a developer, so I'm also learning sysadmin stuff. I've done sysadmin in the past, but I did it really poorly. So now I'm learning better practices for that sort of thing. And that's good, especially for developers, because there are way too many web shits that will just not know how to do configuration, and they will like push something that is completely broken. Because of that, exploits happen and shit like that. And the web is a mess.
The web is a mess. That's why Nintendo and Sony don't have a web browser. No lazy.
Yeah, and I mean it's fair in their case because like they have stable release consoles and JavaScript. People always find ways to break it and execute their own arbitrary code on the CPU directly or some bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, with the web browser, that's what got the PS3 done in. The PS4 done in. The DS.
I'm surprised
the 3DS.
The 3DS that they patched out all of the browser exploits. Like the JavaScript engine, I think, doesn't have any JIT. Like it's just solely interpreted, and which is slower. Which is
right.
If
it was awful not
the term. But God, the 3DS web browser, the Wii web browser, they're very goofy. They're based on old Opera, like before Chrome. They're built on Presto. Shout out to any Presto engine chads that still try and use that code base. Actually, no, I don't think you can, because I think it was proprietary, if I'm not mistaken. But it would be funny if somebody had a fork of Presto still existing. That would be pretty funny.
Hey, Presto.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they just used a shitty version of WebKit, or not shitty. It's just WebKit, which is in and of itself a mess. But that's what's on the Switch.
Right.
And
I guess it's a little bit more
WebKit always has exploits, so I guess that's why it's so blocked off on the Switch and only allowed to fucking sign into Facebook or whatever.
Sign into Wi-Fi networks. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
the fact that routers need an internet browser to function is...
Yeah,
I hate web shit.
Yeah, the only times I've ever seen a web browser pop up is if you need to sign into a social network for sharing, or if you need to log into like one of those captive portals for the free Wi-Fi that you get at the airport. Yeah, that's basically it. And I guess it makes sense because, you know, they saw what happened to their previous consoles and they didn't want that happening again. Kind of annoying,
they
though.
They kind of have a bit of draw when it comes to exploits, because people love Nintendo properties and so they love the consoles. And
there's a lot of people who love those consoles.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are determined to break into them. Not like it matters, right? Because the Switch had an even more fundamental flaw, which was the X1.
Like
it was the chip, right? The X1 chip.
Yeah, the fucking chip didn't have write protection enabled or some shit.
What?
And so, or not write protection, but it didn't have like it so that you couldn't, so you couldn't flash something temporarily. Because even like modern Switch mods, you still have to have the paperclip thing.
Yes.
Because it will short the pin that puts in factory reset mode.
That's right.
And factory reset or like those modes in software are like notorious for being exploited. Like when I used an iPhone years back, knew Julia Lore, she used to use an iPhone. And it, like, to jailbreak it, I had to use this thing called Checkbrain, which I could only get to run on a very specific Linux distribution, Void Linux, on a live USB. I couldn't get it to work on Arch. I couldn't get it to work on Manjaro. I couldn't get it to work on fucking Fedora. So I just had a single USB that I kept on me at all times so I could boot into this. Just because if my phone died, I'd have to reapply the exploit because it was actually a CPU exploit.
Right.
So it only affects it while it's running. And once it turns off, you're fucked.
That's it. Okay. That's funny. So it wouldn't persist between sessions. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not very helpful.
I mean, that's often the case with Apple jailbreaks these days because, like, Apple is really good about patching them out.
Yep.
For better or worse.
Yeah. Jailbreaking was like a big thing in the early iPhone, up until around like I'd say like the mid tens perhaps, and afterwards I guess
a iPhone 6s Plus, I think, or no, just an iPhone S. It was all right. This was back when I used Instagram and other shit, so like, I'm not gonna try and pretend like I was some base red-pilled person. I was very much not. I just was accepting that I had no choice rather than like try and de-Google my life, and like I've done a pretty damn good job at that now, if I have to say so myself. And like all my stuff is secure now, which is funny because like when I was in New York City a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't get into my damn accounts because I didn't have 2FA because my phone broke. So I couldn't get into anything and be like, well, fuck, my phone broke. And I couldn't contact my dad, so I had to just sit in the lobby of the New York Public Library and just wait for him. Yeah. And then I fixed it myself, which is
good.
poggers.
That's very, very good. Very good. So, my next question for you: how do or did, or both, I suppose, how do or did you feel about being being one of the first Yasenists? Let me just give some context to
Oh,
the
sure,
viewers.
sure.
So when I had the dream,
The one mentioned in the Bible.
the dream was that I logged onto the Fedi, and people had people changed their username, so they had the word Yaseenist in the username,
Mm-hmm.
and a handful of people wrote this very key line, which is only a true Yasenist would put Yasenist in their name for 5 day and night cycles. And one of those people was this person right here, Julia.
Yeah.
Hence why Julia is one of the original Yasenists, because she. So now we have the context. Now we can go back to Julia's answer.
I have a tendency to latch on to bits, especially like I very much am one of those people that tends to lurk on the timeline and just watch things happen. And when a bit kicks off, I'm very quick to get onto it. And like I think Liv
Yes.
Cookie, whatever. I don't know what her exact handle is.
At
She's
Living
cute either
Cookie.
way.
She is very cute.
She was one of the first people to do it, and I latched
Yes.
onto it after she did it.
Yes.
And this is the case for a lot of things. Like, if you remember the one time that, like, probably 20 different users set their icon to a Blobcat bounce.
Yes.
And then everything was just Blobcat bounce. Yeah, while that was happening, after it started, I started listening to Funky Town Low Quality and started like dissociating. It was great. And I was just posting Blobcats repeatedly while dissociating. It was an experience. I love it.
That's
and there's other things, like more passing bits, like just renaming all of our usernames to Yaseen.
Yes, I do remember that. I don't even know how to. I think I know how to say. I think Evelyn, she named herself like Evelyn. I don't know why she did that in the first place.
I don't know either. I don't know why that started, but it was funny.
Then she renamed herself Yaseen, and then I was like watching TV at the time, so I was like, okay, this is done. I'll go back, log on, and Fedi. I'm like, why is everyone called Yaseen? Why is Joe Biden called Yaseen Biden? What is happening? And I was like, oh, I'm Yaseen. Like, no, I'm Yaseen. I was like, just because you were born first does not mean that you're the original Yaseen. What is happening? And this always happens, right? Some weird fucking shit like this always happens. And it's always one of you guys.
The silly posting goes.
It's just where the silly posting goes. So how do you feel about being a Yaseenist now? You know,
I very much pride in it. I have read all of the wiki pages, and I plan to continue to contribute to them.
Wait, what, contribute? What?
Well, I assume the wiki is open. I haven't contributed
yes, it is
to it in the past, so I will in the future at some point.
Oh, good. Good to know that you're one of the other contributors.
Yes.
just merrily tapping away things like Yaseen shot JFK.
It's true.
Yes, that's right. I was there on the grassy knoll. Okay.
Brilliant.
It's fascinating. I think it's so funny because every time Yaseenism comes up, I try and talk about it, but then like the other guests will just like do some like riff off, and I'm like, guys, I want to talk about it. I'm like, no, we're doing this other thing now. You're not even invited to this thing. Why do I even have you guys on this show? But yeah, it's funny to me because like I facilitate between wholehearted like acceptance and wholehearted rejection of the entire thing. I mean, mostly because I'm kind of nervous that people will think that I'm like
an actual terrorist or something.
No, well, more like people will think that like I'm like doing this for ego, when in reality, like
it may be a inch of ego, but like that's just your character, not like being egotistical. Like the whole thing surrounding it started because silly posting.
Yes, very silly posting.
And that's what's great about it. It's not
that
like,
is what's great about it.
big
It happened to
influencer.
me.
It's just like, yeah, it's not something you do. It's something that happens to you, which is kind of funny. And I hope you derive some enjoyment from it.
I do, in a bemused, kind of like semi-irritated, semi. The best way to explain it is that my feelings towards it are, it's gonna happen, right? No matter what I do. Okay, it is pretty harmless, all things considered. Thirdly, it is very annoying, right? Don't get me wrong on that. It is supremely annoying, but I do enjoy how other people do it, right?
Mhm.
Like I admire the kind of creativity that happens, like making it so that I shot JFK.
Mhm. Or you somehow managed to get into Hitler's bunker and you faked his suicide.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you shot him and then somehow hid before the Allies found him.
yeah, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. That I faked Hitler's suicide, and I was the one who killed him. Right. Real. That really did happen. Yeah. Yeah, that one I forgot until you just mentioned it now. Yeah, that's some crazy creativity, you know. And like I mean it is annoying, but it's also funny in its own kind of way. So
Mhm.
I kind of enjoy it a little bit, just a little bit, just a
Mhm.
little bit.
As a treat.
As a treat, a little bit as a treat. That's right. Oh, okay. So I am just gonna have a look at the questions people
Sure.
asked. Can you info dump to me about your muffin parser?
Yeah, MFM,
Oh,
Miski
right.
flavored markdown.
Yes.
Oh boy, there's so much. The way it works is hacky at best, but it's doing it to follow the official implementation. It so basically, Miski has its silly formatting that lets free play. For example, they do like the iFox post the other day. I
Yes.
don't know if that renders properly on Acoma because Acoma uses their own bullshit library that doesn't actually render properly, but whatever. MFMJS itself is pretty damn slow.
Mhm,
um, Mostly because it's written in JavaScript.
mhm.
So I took the initiative. The I want to eventually make a GTK native desktop client for Firefish and Miski, possibly Acoma, like whatever floats the boat, right?
Mhm.
To do that, I don't want to give up rendering Miski flavored markdown posts
Of
because they're
course.
silly, and I love silly. I
Yes.
don't want to go the Acoma route and only support like 2 or 3 things from it. So my solution to that was to do a direct port of MFMJS to Rust, which
Mhm,
can compile to native code and
mhm,
be used in native clients. But the thing is that Rust is a very strict language. So I've put a lot of work into designing it such that it is able to function despite Rust's limits
mhm.
without being costly and having a lot of overhead. And I think the tests I did is it is something like 10, 10 times faster than MFMJS when
Right.
I benchmarked it, which is great, but I can still go further with the optimizations, which is
Mhm.
it makes me kind of snarky or whatever because it's already so much better despite not being at its full potential. Um, the downside of it being a direct port, well, the upside of it is that it behaves identically. The functions are literally directly translated from JavaScript from the MFMJS,
Mhm, mhm.
and in doing that, it has to do some bullshit with Rust macros, and macros are code that expands into other code. Just all this bullshit to do the exact same logic under the hood. And I think there's only one place where I've derived from the original logic, and that was like, the programmers that will listen to this will understand how dumb it is. MFM.js, it splits the post into characters, and then at the very end, if something doesn't parse as, like, I don't know, bold or something, it will get instead parsed as a text node with a single character in it. And then at the very end, it goes through the entire document that it spits out, and it merges all of these tiny text nodes into bigger ones, which is so inefficient. It creates way too many strings, and God, why? I implemented it in such a way in Rust that it doesn't do that. It uses iterators and backtracking, so it's able to avoid A, copying any data, and B, it's able to it's able to do it efficiently. And more importantly, when it finally finds something that it can parse successfully, it just takes everything that it wasn't parsing, i.e. the text, and then it combines that into one text node instead of creating a billion. I'm probably rambling a bit, but
no, it's fine.
Info dumping.
That's kind of what this podcast has been about. People info dumping about random shit. I mean, to be honest, you know, like in the last episode, it took 15 minutes for me to get to the first question. It took me 5 minutes in this episode. So I figure out by like the
it exponentially grows until the end of time.
Yeah. So by like the 6th episode, I won't even have gone to the first question.
Yeah, that seems possible.
Right. Well, yeah. So let's go through the questions from the audience. So the first question is from Luna, which is luna@catgirl.center.
Okay.
Not a question. Oh, okay. Then.
Oh.
Not a question, but call her cute. Julia, you are cute.
Shut up. I'm
yes, I am truly in my big sibling arc right now.
So true.
This next question is from the Agatha, so that's Agatha at tech.lgbt. Have all the Julias on Fedi ever considered forming a union?
We should. I know that there is at least 2 or 3 others that have been in my bubble. And yeah, we should. That'd be pretty funny, I think.
I think so too. The only Julias I know are you and Julia, formerly at Blaha World.
Yeah.
I love both of you. So you know, you two are too keen. I think you should form a union. Not quite sure what against, but a union is useful.
What if instead of doing a actual union, we put ourselves in a C union and then unsafely cast between us? Like, we post on each other's accounts because something. This is a joke about C that nobody is going to get, but treating the wrong data as a different type or something. That wasn't funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing on the inside, you know, because you know how much I love coding. The next one is from April at C. Oh, I think April is just at, I think. This is from @April at Fedi.Afra.Berlin. Didn't know there was a .Berlin TLD. Now I do.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of TLDs. Jesus Christ, I can.
But no Yas TLD. That's the thing.
It's literally Yasphobic.
It's Yasphobic. Like, why won't ICANN give me a .yas TLD?
It's truly a tragedy.
Can you imagine?
Yas at yas.yas.
Exactly. And we could have HTTPS /yas.yas/yas.ytml.
Yeah.
That's Yastex markup language.
Oh, yes, of course. Not to be confused with YAML.
That's Yaseen
ain't markup language.
I mean, it's interesting because ICANN is one of those organizations that really should be under the auspice of a neutral, like, body.
It should,
like the UN, I suppose. Whereas ICANN is...
It's treated more like a non-profit company instead of a organization like the IIII. And that's more towards how it should be organized, in my opinion. But
right,
I'm just a silly trans girl on the internet. No one listens to me.
I think ICANN should be organized as an international organization. So maybe not like a UN body or whatever, but there are certainly other entities like ISO, for example, that are international organizations.
So I will say ISO. There's some bullshit around that because ISO makes you pay to use their standards.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, like to have a officially recognized ISO C compiler, you have to pay them like $200 to get the actual specification, which is dumb.
What?
And
that is cringe.
Why would you want something to be open by making people pay for it, thereby gatekeeping it so that they don't actually use it? That is the opposite of what standardization should be.
What's the point of a standards? What's the point of a standards organization if I don't know what the standards are gonna be?
And yes, I get it. It's hard to make money as a standards organization, but ECMA International is able to make it by, so ISO should be able to do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is with and the thing is with ICANN, it is a non-profit corporation which has very, very strong links to the US government. In fact, I believe it was spun off from the Department of Commerce, I think.
Yeah, so probably because America is the only country.
America is the only country allowed on the internet. That's right. The internet belongs to America.
Oh dear God, that's actually the tech bro mindset. They don't think other countries
It's true. It's true. The internet belongs to America. You know, everything has to be done.
Everyone speaks English.
Everyone speaks English.
Why would I put anything but English in my UI? Everyone speaks it.
Everyone speaks English, and everyone has the exact same mindset as rich white men who live in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
like these guys are making political, moral, and social decisions for the rest of the world, and they should all believe in that puritanical break things mindset.
It really is something.
It's crazy. It's interesting to think that these guys wield so much power over the rest of the world,
and they're so out of touch.
And they're so out of touch that they're not even representative of straight white males, let alone let alone the entire world.
What I am glad of is that in the last several decades, supporting queer rights has become a don't be an asshole thing, so it's kind of like a PR move. And
right.
So the rich assholes who otherwise would be transgenocidal people, right? They're oh, well, I can't do that or I'll harm my reputation. Which I'd rather they just, be an ounce of supportive, but I'll take what I get,
Yeah, neutrality from these big dogs is probably better than the than not supporting us.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the struggle with trans existence at the moment is we're in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
We're under attack. And
yes, we are.
We benefited a lot in the past from people not knowing as much about us
Yes,
because there was
yes.
silence and not as much awareness of queer identity.
It's true. It's true.
Like, this is part of the reason why I didn't come out when I was 13 and I decided to repress for so many years. Like, I didn't know that being trans was a thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, the only time I remember hearing about a transgender person was like on one of those piracy sites, and like the ad was like 30 celebs who are transgender, and I'm like, why do I care? Like, that was my genuine reaction as a child.
Right,
so
right.
I'm glad that I wasn't you know, white supremacist or whatever the fuck people stereotype trans femmes to be in the past, but the fact that stereotype is so accepted is a little telling.
It's a very very weird stereotype of white trans femmes to be weird. Yeah, I mean that's actually a really good point. I was thinking about this very recently. It was in the British context. That is that it was better to be trans like a few years ago than it is now, and not just because of the government.
Because now there's all the fucking Tories and shit.
Right, yeah. No, not because of just the government stuff, but just because back like let's say like 2017, right? Let's pick that out of hat to see it, right? Back then, it was trans people were known, but they weren't like
they weren't the star of attention.
They weren't the star of attention.
No discernible reason.
No fucking reason, right? If you were trans, it was just like okay, no one really knew, but also no one really cared. That's probably because the culture war as a thing has never really been a thing in British politics for like the past like decade or so. But then of course the Tories got in. They imported the US culture war because Boris Johnson was a
everywhere is America. America is the only country.
It is because Boris Johnson had very strong links to
fucking Boris Johnson is just like a Trump alt skin. I'm sorry.
Yes, he is. In so many ways, and he had the same.
He's a little bit less heavy though.
A little bit less heavy. Yeah,
little.
He had the same. He had the links. He had links to the culture war types in the United States. Brought them over actually. Used them as like consultants, then pushed the culture wars. Like,
of course,
especially about trans people, because of course, why push forward like a credible?
Why try and actually solve political issues when you can just use wedge issues to get yourself power and then make money off of it?
Exactly. That's really it, and that's how we got the situation we are today, where both parties have very kind of explicitly thrown their hat into the transphobia ring. Labour being slightly less transphobic, but still kind of like very.
It's like, but we're not going to do anything about it because that will make the right angry, and we want to negotiate with the right.
Exactly.
But the thing is, in America and currently in the world, the left is the right. Like, Democrat now is basically just old Republican. Like, it's not so much that they've inverted it, but Republicans shift, like, the core Republican base shifted from being about the economic policies, which I also disagree with, but I'm willing to talk about, like, and discuss. Whereas now they've just gone off this like right-wing lunacy thing where they're able to use wedge issues like abortion and gay marriage and trans rights to try and get people angry so that they are voting out of hatred and thereby abusing the fact that so many people don't vote. I pray that with my generation, it's not looking like it's going to be the case. And actually, there's quite a few people in this generation that are regressing to right-wing tendencies because they're just edgy assholes. But I hope that we recognize that, like, Trump getting elected, that wasn't a one-off. That was because people didn't go to the polls because they thought he was a joke. You can't the right at the moment is a genuine threat, and we have to be vigilant against it.
Yes, you're right.
To keep people safe.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah. I mean, it's the same here too. The Conservative Party have gone very, very far off the deep end into conspiracy theories. Actually, conspiracy theories.
Got any Jewish space lasers over there?
No, not those kind of conspiracies. Thankfully, but more the kind of like more the kind of like, well, the Labour Party will come for your cars kind of shit.
Oh yeah, that bullshit.
Right? Making shit up, then saying that we've undone the shit.
How do I vote for the Labour Party? That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, like it's the same with the Democrats and the Labour Party. Like the image that the right
Europe actually has multiple parties instead of just making everybody hate each other more.
The UK is a multi-party democracy, but because it is so hideously broken, only two of them are a viable option. So you square the maths on that one. But yeah, so I do find I mean the next general election will be like next year, and that's like a whole different topic. And obviously the best choice is the Labour Party, but only because they're not the Tories.
It's like the Markiplier video that's like, this, I hate this. I also don't like this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
Yes, that's right. The Labour Party are like terrible, okay? Like a total crock of shit.
Oh, they're actually bad, so... okay. I take back what I said then. Getting rid of cars is based. Whatever they do is not.
Unfortunately, they never actually said that. So I wish they did. But you know what? That's what it is. Like this image that the right has about left wing.
The left wants to take away your guns.
Oh, okay. It's like decided like the image of the Labour Party and Democrats in the Republicans and Conservatives' minds is that they're these big, scary socialist demons who make everyone trans and get rid of all the cars and give everyone like free healthcare, whatever. It's like, well, that like imagination.
That sounds pretty good to me. Yeah,
it's a shame that's not what's happening.
It's a shame there's assholes like you to keep it from happening. Or not you, like speaking. You know
right. In a general sense. Wait. I was supposed to ask you the question.
Oh, right.
Okay, so April's question to you is, how is to be Eep?
Oh, it's nice, except for the fact that I want to code. I have severe issues with my sleep schedule at the minute because, like, on average, I'm going to bed at 3 a.m, which is generally not good, especially for somebody who's trying to hold a job in a programming language that is tolerable.
Right.
To stay under the roof I'm under, my parents' house, I have to have a job.
Yes.
And without one, they have told me that if I lose a job, I have a 2-month timer before they throw me out, because they're great. They're just such great parents. They haven't inflicted any trauma on me. None.
They would throw you out if you didn't have a job? Surely it would be like the opposite, right? Like
No. My mom would willingly throw me out of the house if I didn't have a job.
Wow. I wish I lived near you so you could live in my house.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Julie. I hope that you...
I'm probably going to do something about it soon because my mother she bought Blink cameras and I don't want any of that.
Whoa! Like the
Amazon ones.
The Amazon ones, right?
Straight up babble to the police and have like
the ones for the outside of the house or for the inside?
Both in and outside.
Oh, okay. That's so your mom set up like a micro surveillance state inside your house.
She hasn't set it up yet. She asked me to find alternatives if I was so damn opposed to the Blink cameras. And she made it out like I was a fucking lunatic for being concerned about them. But like
it's funny that like your mom is like the
antithesis of me.
Well, yeah. One, your mom is like the antithesis. I'm like completely surprised that you turned out. And happy, of course, that you turned out so very sweet and charming. Right? Like you are so sweet and so charming.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate it about you. You know, you're so nice to me. So it's crazy that your mom is like a total
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say something that will have to turn on the explicit content warning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Because I'm so ideologically opposed to the cameras, I'm probably going to find an apartment nearby. My father moved out a while ago because they're getting divorced, understandably. I don't blame him, but I don't blame him for divorcing her, but I blame both of them for being assholes, but I particularly like my mom is not a very tall. And the thing is, I feel like shit saying it because she's supportive in like my gender identity and stuff, and
in everything else she's
progressive. She all this, but she's just not good at parenting.
Yeah. My mom is. I wouldn't say she's toxic. Mm-hmm. She is supportive in like most cases, but she's also kind of a powder keg in some other places.
Mm-hmm. Like she'll just explode over something.
Yeah, and it is weird, and it's like, okay. And yeah, like most of the time she's cordial and supportive. Like even when I was like a teenager, like even when I'd go out for like hours on end, she wouldn't even be bothered when I come home. Like she she trusts me to kind of be independent and be
Damn, that would have been nice. I never really had anything of like teenage years because
of the trauma.
Yeah, not even just that, but like I just completely secluded myself and never went. I think I went to less than 20 social events in all of high school, like and middle school, actually, for that matter.
That's more than me, so that's okay.
Well, I was rounding up, but
nope, still probably more than me.
No, like I didn't even go out like with friends.
Okay.
I'm including that in that figure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Wow, this became a really sad segment.
Yeah.
we really are related, aren't we, Julia?
Yeah, real. So true.
Real related. The pataphysical blood we share.
So true.
I mean, that's what that's what I say. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
True. I have no idea where that quote comes from, but it's
like one of those quotes from like time immemorial. Like everyone thinks it means blood is thicker than water, and like, as in family is worth more than whatever. But the opposite is the actual sentiment, which is of course that the bond you form with those that you serve with is stronger than that you get from
that
being born,
or whatever.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Like you're stuck with your family. You have no choice in that, but you can always choose your own. Family.
You can get unstuck with them, but there's not really like an alternative, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Like you're stuck with who you're related to genetically, but you're not stuck with who you
can't
be
just like
to.
Change your genes to have a
you can't change.
I wish that'd be fucking awesome.
Gene editing yourself.
That's gene editing myself. Hope I don't get cancer. What could go wrong? It is something that is happening.
It's something that is happening, and like I feel like there's been scare stories about it for like as long like since I was a teenager about like rich people.
What president, I don't know if it was Reagan or who, but like they like outlawed it and then like did all this scare politics around it. Like
that was Bush. He did that.
Oh yeah, Bush. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was dumb. It's dumb because as long as it's ethically sourced, there's no issue with it. And the issue is that the alternative we got was to have other countries do it unethically. Yes. And now we have the research, but we don't have our moral legs to stand on. Thanks, Bush.
Thanks, Bush, for many things. Yeah, for gene therapy, gene like engineering and stuff is something I've heard like scare stories about in terms of like the rich, using gene therapy to get ahead of everyone else.
Eugenicists or whatever.
Eugenicists, yeah. I feel like gene therapy is kind of like AI.
That's pretty good.
You know, gene therapy is kind of like AI in that people have been predicting the rise of it for like the past like 20 years.
And it's just not really going to go
and we keep getting closer
far.
and closer every year, but also the goalposts keep getting further and further away every year.
They're gonna have designer babies.
Yeah, designer babies. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like that.
What is that? Like a spinoff of American Girl doll, but it's like just an actual infant.
Like, I feel like the designer baby thing will probably happen.
It probably will, but it'll be niche as hell because the wealth gap will just keep getting bigger and such.
Yeah, like wealthy people don't need gene therapy to get ahead, right? Like, I think that's like the
they already like eugenicized out anybody that was ugly from their bloodlines.
Right? So... Yeah. like the thing about this kind of gene therapy stuff is that no matter what kind of genes you get, nothing can really compare to being rich and being able to afford the best healthcare and the best food, and the best conditions, right? Like, you know, the reality is that rich people have already kind of gene therapied themselves just by having all of the best stuff. Like, you don't need...
They don't really marry non-rich people, so there's no new stuff in their gene pool. So they're basically just doing like eugenics,
selective breeding, but
like, which is funny to me. But like, hopefully it causes some brain damage if it hasn't
already. Hopefully, fingers crossed. The next question is from me.
Yeah,
this is not a question. This is just a comment that I replied to myself, and it just appeared in this list. Episode. Oh yes, I forgot to explain that at the beginning of the episode. So episode 4.
Yeah.
So episode 4 is written with 4 capital I's. This is because the original Roman numeral system used 4 capital I's for the number 4. So the use of IV for number 4 is actually an invention of the Middle Ages. So please don't try and correct me. Please don't try and correct me on my misuse of Roman numerals, because I've used it correctly.
That's kind of like... this is a dumb comparison, but that's like how most Fediverse servers implement like workarounds because Mastodon doesn't even follow the ActivityPub spec correctly. Which pains me so much.
Right. Yes, of course.
Thanks, Gargan. Very cool. Thanks, Sean Mastodon.
Next question is from Nikoneko at 0w0.is. What came first, the blob or the cat? That is a good question.
If you're referring to cat emojis, I think what came first is the blob, because the blob that we have, or blob fox and blob cat, is the same cutout that were used in the Google blob emoji set.
Yes, that's right.
They're probably going to work on the blob faces first before they work on any of the animals and like other obscure Unicode characters. So if you're going by characters, I would say that the cat came first. The blob came first.
Blob. Yes, I was going to say very similar. Actually, I was actually going to mention the same thing. Like, I was going to say...
But if you mean cats in general, cats, I think, unless you want to say that, like, blobs in general have existed in the universe since the Big Bang, which, okay, like, it depends on how you frame it.
You define a blob, right. Yeah. Because if you consider, like, the first primordial animals, they were kind of blob-shaped.
Yeah, like... somehow barely multicellular organisms.
Right, yeah. So I guess in like an evolutionary sense, the blob came first.
Yeah.
In like an emoji sense, the blob also came first.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's consensus there.
That's the consensus. Like I was actually going to mention the Google thing as well, because when I first joined the Fediverse and I saw these blob emojis, like, oh wow, these look like the old Google blob emojis. And it's good to know that like my suspicions were confirmed.
I only knew about it because I had a fucking Kindle Fire, and those things just use up until a certain update, and at that point it got unusable because they packed so many goddamn ads and made their own shell, and it was garbage. But before that, they were using the default Google emoji set, and at the time, that was the blob emojis. Yes. Now I think it's Noto fonts, which just kind of looks boring.
Mm-hmm. The present crop. I have a Pixel. So the present crop of Google emojis they get the job. They do the job of conveying emotions. Mm-hmm. They just don't feel very inspired.
I love the Twimoji pack. Like I literally will, on my devices, like in my package manager, I'll uninstall Noto fonts or whatever, and then I will install the Twimoji font because I genuinely prefer them.
That's so great. The Twimoji. It's interesting how Twitter gave us the Twimoji, and it's like it's open source
and
now,
it's continuing without Twitter. Like Twitter's dead, and Twimoji goes on, and it's
beautiful.
The person that runs it is a former designer that was fired by Musk, and they're just doing it out of their care for open source, which is
what?
Goddamn.
That's a GigaChat,
right? Like they are awesome. They're an awesome person.
That's an awesome person. I respect that. Instead of like
letting it die or whatever.
Instead of letting it die, or instead of like making their own shitty Twitter knockoff, quote unquote T2/Pebble, they just maintained the Twimoji. I rate that guy.
I really appreciate them doing it because it is very much appreciated that we're not going to have 4 spin-offs of Twimoji that happened because of the fall of Twitter, because they just kept the existing one going, but under a different under a different package name. I think it's like at something or other /Twimoji now, instead of just Twimoji, because Twimoji is owned by the Twitter organization.
Yes, makes sense.
Computers are bad. I hate
computers
NPM.
Are bad.
Fuck packages.
The next question is from Luna, a different Luna to the other Luna, not to be confused, of course, with Luna
or Luna
or Luna, and neither nor Luna. It's like the John Smith of Fedi.
It's the John Smith of transfers.
So this is Luna, which is Cubix 8513 at tech.lgbt. Mm-hmm. First question: how are you both so cute? I was born with it. I was born with it.
I don't know why.
Thank you very much,
Luna. Be so cute. Okay.
I think you're cute in like a little sister way.
Thank you.
Which is probably the same as like how everyone else perceives your cuteness, but I see you as cute in like a very cute.
A lot of people say that I look genuinely cute in like
appearance,
but like maybe it's just dysphoria or something, but like
it's probably your dysphoria. I think so. Yeah, I mean, look, you just have a very, in terms of personality, at the very least, I can definitely say that you are very cute in that little sister sense. I can imagine you coming up to me with
giving you a
big yeah, that's right, with a big hug, or being like, "Can you help me with my homework?" kind of. I can imagine you doing that.
Yeah.
Second question: what cat breed are you?
I have no idea about cat names, or breeds.
I would be a Maine Coon, actually. I would be that breed of cat. They are actually one of the oldest natural breeds of cat in North America.
I think for me, I would either be a mess of something that isn't unidentifiable, in terms of like breed, like just a mutt, you know?
A mug.
Oh, is that the term for cat?
Yeah. So a mutt is for dogs and a mug is for cat.
Or that one like really tiny, really fluffy, not domestic cat that there's like all the videos of on Fedi, like the one of somebody taking a brush to its head and then there's like stupid music in the background.
Yes, I know exactly what cat you mean.
That cat.
I think you would be that cat.
Fluffy.
You would be a very fluffy creature. Like sometimes I see myself as like a like an amorphous blob, but also like a fluffy blob.
You're just a fluffy beanbag.
A beanbag, a fluffy beanbag, and then there was a follow up in this thread.
Oh boy.
Yeah, which was oh yes, Alice responded and said, "I saw the word breed." And Alice,
God damn it, Alice.
I do regret to inform you that I am not breeding anyone on the Yascast.
Probably for the best, but so sad.
Probably. Yeah, and then Luna, the other Luna from earlier, said, "You never said anything about people breeding you." And the thing is that if a woman wants to try breeding me,
she's welcome.
They are welcome to, but only after they date me first.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I hope this doesn't trigger the explicit content tag.
Oh well.
Oh well. The next question is from Money at snug.moe. Why do they call it Yaseen when you are in the cold Yas of out hot eat the Yas? Good question.
That's a good question. Why do they do that?
That is a question that is so good that I'm going to skip it.
No, it's really funny. It's a playoff of this.
Yes, it's a playoff.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were aware of the Garfield oven mitt. Is it an oven mitt? I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Look, come on, Julia. I have been on the internet for like
to be
so
fair,
long.
I regularly am asleep while funny things happen, and then I have to catch up on them. But that's just how me be.
The next one is from my good friend Blobcat. Shout out to Blobber. That's Blobcat at wetdry.world. How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
If I do think about them, it's about thinking about how white men think it's like all Giga Chad shit, but in reality, it was like pretty fucking gay.
Yeah, I don't really think about the Roman Empire all that much, to be honest. I think
I think about how one of the last emperors was a twink.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about the Roman Empire is that everyone, like you said, everything is like they're all based Giga Chad, Western civilization upholding.
I love when Western people just typecast everything into Western culture. It's great.
But the thing is that one, a lot of Roman like culture and civilization was a copy of Greek civilization. Two, the Romans were essentially a multi-ethnic, multilingual empire, right? The concept of like a white Roman doesn't exist because they were all kinds of colors. The only white Romans you would find would be like none of them actually, because like they would be like olive, perhaps, maybe, or like much darker because of this being in the sun all the time. And of course, we talk about like the Romans were pretty gay in a male-on-male way.
Yeah, no. If I lose to another general, then I have to serve him or something. And I'm like,
yes.
Okay, bro. Seems a bit gay to me, but if you want to do it, if that floats your boat, go ahead. Be my guest.
It's interesting you mention that because the idea of male-on-male homosexuality, it being like a thing,
new.
Yeah. Like people think that it's like relatively new, but even in for example in the Islamic Caliphate, when they occupied Spain, for example, there have been like official like texts that say like a male prostitute is worth more than a female prostitute. It was basically like
stuff like that.
It was basically like you were basically like a wimp for having sex with a woman. like oh my god, this dude only fucks women. Yeah, like it's like what? Only real men take it, right? Real men do it in the ass and take it up the ass. I can't believe you would have sex with a woman of all things. What is wrong with you?
Women, but with the O asterisk.
The second question is, which blobcat emoji is your favorite? So my two favorite blobcat emojis are, well, this is not a surprise to anyone, but it's the one where the one is patting the word you, and the other one where the one is hugging the word you. I like those two very much.
They're very.
They are very cute.
Now that you mention like the newer ones.
Oh yeah, the new ones.
Because those are newer, but or not even Neocat, but now I'm conflicted. I was originally just going to say a meow bounce.
That is quite nice for
the silly, that one. Everyone knows it. It exists. I also quite love the 3D stretch.
Yes.
Especially when like instances have made it so that it's so wide that it just takes up the entire reaction bar.
You reminded me of the wide Kiara emoji.
Wait, like Kiara from Hololive?
No. From our Kiara.
Oh, is that how it's pronounced?
I think so. I hope I pronounced it right. Chara.
I don't know. I don't know. I do not profess.
You've never seen wide.
No,
Chara?
I've seen that. And to see the funny is that's a type in the C programming language. Basically, any Unicode character can fit into a W char T.
Oh, so it's a programming joke all this time?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. But to the question, I really also like the Blobcat Nom Wire or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah,
I love that one. I eated the cables.
I eated the cables. I love that one because the reaction, like the expression on the face, is completely
it's like the colon
different.
3, and like it's nibbling, and it's great. I love it. But if I had to pick a favorite, you know what? I think I'm just gonna say the Eated Wires one.
Eating Wires, okay.
They are all very good.
I agree. They're all very, very good, very cute too.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is from Lizzie at brain.worm.pink.
Oh boy.
Hello, Lizzie. What is the worst programming crime you have committed? One time I put the TV on and I watched like an episode of Hollyoak. That's probably the worst programming crime I've committed.
Oh god, what is the worst thing I've done? Well, just the other day I downloaded a Docker image just to run FFmpeg instead of
Mpreg?
Just yes, FFmpeg. The very funny and never heard before joke. Yeah, because I'm running Fedora Silverblue, so like installing packages is a no-no, especially it's not a big no-no, but like you should do it in a container because container build. Sure. I am a container gremlin to the death. I don't care if I want everything in a little box so that I can compartmentalize how I think about it. I'm just very autistic.
Oh yeah. This podcast has been the autistic person's dream.
Yeah. But worst crime? Oh, I know what.
Okay.
I made a Node.js framework for writing web applications in Brainfuck. And
sorry, what?
If you're not aware, Yas, I think John or Joe, sorry. John is my boyfriend's name, so I sorry. Joe was trying to explain the whole faulting problem and Turing machine. Brainfuck is basically just a Turing machine, so you only have like 6 instructions. And you do that by writing a garbled series of plus signs, angle brackets, square brackets, dot, and comma. And your code is just a wall of text that isn't even human readable. And I made it so that you could make a web framework with this, because instead of taking input from the user, it would give you a character from the URL like that the user is requesting. and then the output would be served as HTML. The funny part is that my brainfuck in implementation was actually broken, but I didn't test it hard enough, so I didn't even it doesn't work properly. But in theory, if I fixed it and like did it properly, you could totally like actually make a website using brainfuck, and it's terrible. And you're welcome. Oh, that's the worst thing I've done.
Okay. So next question is from username Swift. I love her. She's great.
Yeah,
that's username awesome. Swift at playerromer.net. Is the rumor that you both domesticated rice together true?
Domesticated rats?
Rice.
Oh, rice.
Is it true that we domesticated rice together?
Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the bond of siblings.
Yeah.
Is powerful enough that we domesticated rice. Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah.
The next question is from my good friend Apple. Only I get to call Faye Apple, Amps. By the way. So yep, that's amps at 0w0.is. And my question is, if you were given like $10 million now to make a large amount of your country's public eat bugs, how would you do it? How would I make everyone eat bugs with $10 million?
10 million is a bit hard because you're gonna need like national like propaganda to get people to not think that eating bugs is gross. And it's something that even I can't do. Like I have a trouble with fucking seafood. So to be fair, I have issues with food in general, but that's a whole nother can of worms.
One time I went to the station and they were selling ice cream, but the ice cream was flavored with like bugs and stuff, and I was like, I am not eating that, and I walked straight away. The thing is that bugs have a lot of protein in them, so they could be like the food of the future. But
food for the poor people of the future. Let's clarify.
Yeah, more like that. Yeah. Anyway, if I had $10 million to make people eat bugs, I would probably.
What I'd do is I'd give it as money to a billionaire and tell them to do it because they have more money, and I would use the $10 million to convince them that it's a really good idea, and then their $1 billion should be spent on it, and that's how I do it.
The Juicero,
the startup way, where you like make a startup and then like try and convince a billionaire that it's a good idea.
Yes, that's what I would do. I would do the same thing too. We would basically Uberify
the market of eating bugs.
The Uber of eating bugs.
That's the thing in tech that gets me. Like every meeting at a new tech company is like, we want to be the Uber of whatever. Like literally, like I think I heard that word for word. Like before at my internship that I did a long time ago. Like
oh my god, you just reminded it's interesting how so many companies try to be the Uber of whatever,
but Uber is kind of a mess.
It is kind of a mess, but also how many companies try to pretend that they're a tech company when they are like nothing, nowhere near.
Oh yeah.
Like we would try to be a tech company when in reality they're like a real estate company, and they weren't even good at the real estate thing. Like their main competitor, IWG, has offices in more countries, has more buildings, has more cities, actually makes like a huge profit like every year.
But they
whereas WeWork makes negative money like all the fucking time.
Brilliant. It's just bleeding money before you can get to the MVP, of course. And once you get to the MVP, the money is just going to flood in.
Right. Yeah, of course.
That is all that can happen. Startups cannot fail. Instacart will not go down because it's not sustainable as a business model. That will never happen.
Yeah, and the thing is that like real estate is like like office real estate is like the worst business, and especially co-working space is like one of the worst businesses in the world,
Especially
right?
right now.
Because especially right now, yeah, exactly. So, but yet IWG, despite the fact that it makes like a bajillion, like it makes a really healthy profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
The market valuation for IWG is significantly less than
Gotcha.
WeWork, despite the fact that it actually makes a profit and it has more buildings, right?
But WeWork just doesn't have. It's a startup and it's tech or whatever.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's the
Like,
rocket ship solution. If I had $1 for every fucking rocket emoji.
to the moon. Yeah, Tesla is like a tech company, but they make cars. Okay. Casper was a tech company, but they did mattresses.
What? Just make goods. Stop trying to tech integrate everything. I don't want a smart toaster. If I ever got a smart anything, the only reason would be to dismantle it and try and run Doom on it.
Can you run a Doom on a smart fridge? With Xbox Game Pass,
actually,
you
very
can.
easily.
It's very easy too. Yep. Yeah. I do have a Casper actually mattress, and it's probably one of the best mattresses I've ever had. Except that Casper's UK division went bankrupt.
No customer support.
No customer support. But it's been like 4 years since I bought a mattress, and it's still going strong.
I assume there's not going to be glaring issues with it other than it eventually wearing out.
Hopefully not. But it's a good mattress. Good mattress. But yeah, that's the thing, is that if your tech, quote unquote, tech product is actually like a real thing, like a mattress or a car or real estate.
If it's a physical good, don't make it a tech startup. Just fuck off.
Just fuck off. Just do it like a normal business.
Yeah,
right? And
you don't have to have everything be planet scale, web integrated, all that bullshit. Just make your product, god fucking damn it.
The thing with Casper is, back in the US, that is that the whole point of Casper was that it was a tech company, okay, and also that it would sell directly to consumers, because then cut out the middleman of the warehouse, of the showrooms and so on and so forth. Except Casper now has showrooms across the United States. So who are they competing with?
I think I saw the other day Netflix is considering opening physical locations.
Right, yeah. That's
Have you learned nothing?
Have you guys learned nothing? Like, so what, you're gonna do the thing that you it's crazy.
That you literally replaced? Okay.
Okay, buddy, okay. Oh, right, Apple had a second question to us, which was, what's your favorite color? Orange.
I think mine is either pink or purple.
Very girly.
Thanks. Though I will say the one that's like just favorite color in general. The one I like to accent stuff with, like in my configurations and stuff, is like a light blue. That there's a very I specifically use the blue on the gnome color palette. Probably only 1 or 2 people is gonna know exactly what color I'm talking about, but it's a very particular blue that I'm very particular about. Manages to info dump about a fucking color.
the color pink was considered a masculine color up until like the 1930s, I think, or 1940s. Yeah.
Culture norms are just a bullshit amalgamation to keep us fighting with each other.
It's true. In some cultures, they don't even see like blue. Or green. In some cultures, they don't even see green. They see it as like a shade of blue. It's like if you go to
like in some languages, they just
some languages they just don't have blue. So if you go to like Japan, for example, you'll notice that their traffic lights, the green light, is actually kind of a blue color.
Because like a turquoisey.
Because it wasn't until very recently that the Japanese had a word for the color green. Right? It's not like they couldn't see green, but they saw it as like a shade of blue. Yeah. And like if you look at a color spectrum coloring, you think, well, actually, that kind of makes sense. They do kind of like blend together a little bit. You know?
And yeah, I mean, this is just a cultural thing. Though I do suppose that's interesting, like an interesting way to perceive it. Like
Mm.
people joke about, okay, try and imagine a new color, but like that's an actual way that happens, right? Like a
Yeah.
cultural, like culturally, a color doesn't exist, and then it gets introduced and integrated with the rest of the world for better or worse. Fuck you, globalization and fucking colonizers and shit. But you get my
I,
point, right? Like
I
that's
do.
one way that can actually happen.
Yes,
But
exactly.
it's not literally a new color.
No.
Fun fact: the when you know those illusion books where you stare at an image and then you look at the other page, right? And then like there's the after image of the
Yes.
stuff on the first page.
Right.
That is because your the cones in your eye get lazy, and so they just assume that there's not going to be change. And when you do that, you're actually seeing a color, like the internal, like the values that your eye is getting are values for a color that shouldn't exist because it's trying to adjust, which is really interesting. So like it's a
Wow.
color that can't be perceived. So try and imagine a new color. That's how you do it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, right. I learned it from this one like nerd ass graphics programmer on YouTube who like did an entire video on color and why it's almost as damn complicated as time in computing. And yeah, it is if you want to do it right. But most people just use RGB and say fuck it.
Holy shit, how many fucking questions are on this? Oh my god.
I did boost it. That's probably part of my fault.
Okay, you know what? You might as well go through all of them, right?
Fuck it.
Okay, the
If you
next.
have the time.
If we, yeah, how long are we going on to? Holy shit. Okay. I'm gonna have to pick one question that
Okay.
I think is good, and then move on to the rest of the. Man, some of these are really really good, but I had. Okay, this question is from Dark Magician Bard, which is bard
Mm-hmm.
at transfem.social.
Mm-hmm.
You have enough burgers to feed 20 people, but they will vanish in 15 minutes if they aren't eaten. How will you distribute them?
Between 15 people, if there are people around me, right? If the 20 people are there, then I guess the issue is, dividing it because it doesn't go
I don't know.
cleanly.
You have 20 people, and so you have enough burgers to feed 20 people. So 20 burgers, one burger each, right?
Yeah.
But the burgers will vanish in 15 minutes.
Okay, so I'm assuming what they mean is that you need to find people to distribute them.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
What I'd do is I'd go out in front of a local McDonald's and then just toss them to people and be like, "Don't bother. Just you don't. This business makes enough money. Have a free one. I have no need for it." Though to be fair, a person sitting outside of a McDonald's giving people burgers is a little suspicious, and I'd probably get arrested for one reason or another. Yeah.
I mean, I would just go around town giving to all the homeless people. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah. That's the other option, but like where I live, that's not. I live in suburbia,
Right? Yeah.
like prime fucking suburbia, like white ass parents with like all the privilege and the most obnoxious people ever. Um, I mean, uh, living conditions are nice, but like, dear God, people are so boring and
Oh, I
bland.
see. Right. Yes. I understand this from all the American TV shows I've watched.
Uh, but yeah, when there's homelessness, it's basically only in the cities because that's where people are able to get by. Uh,
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
like
yeah, that
and
makes sense.
not literally starve to death because there's cheap restaurants about stuff like that.
Hmm.
But if I was in New York City, yeah, that's what I'd do.
Okay. Maybe one more question. I'm just gonna see.
Just one more as a treat.
Yeah, as a treat, as a treat. I'm very sorry to everyone who didn't have their questions answered. There was just a lot of them.
Also, I info dumped for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, which is from Vale. I love Vale. Gotta be one of my favorite sisters. That is at Valephonia at maston.fedi.kirigumi.me.
That is a long URL.
Yeah. Favorite video game and why? My favorite video game, of course, is E.T. for the Atari.
Basic.
No, my favorite game. Oh God, it's a tough question. I think the video game I do kind of hold a soft spot for is Burnout 3 Takedown, just because it had a banging soundtrack, which influenced my music taste for like the next like 20 like 15 years of my life. There's some artists on that soundtrack that I still listen to today, which is a crazy thing about that. Like just that one video game has influenced my entire
the timeline that would exist if you hadn't gotten that game would be significantly different.
So different, right? Like without that game, I would not be listening to music I am today. Like I feel like the music I listen to today would be music that feels like it would be inspired by that game. Maybe not like the J-pop or whatever, but like I feel like they all kind of exist in that kind of like kind of alt scene kind of thing. And that's but of course the game was just fantastic to play. It's just a really, really enjoyable experience, and it's just a cohesive experience. It was the first game I felt like I played at just like a very cohesive experience, and also the only video game I have ever 100%ed ever.
I don't think I have actually 100%ed any game. I've been meaning to. Actually, oh no, I only got 80% in Nier Automata.
Oh wow, okay. I need to finish that.
I'm going back to do a second playthrough now.
Oh wow,
because I hadn't played the original Nier when I played Nier Automata, and now I want to go back and play it with the eyes of somebody who's now played Nier Replicant, which is the remake of the original Nier. But a favorite game? See, if you had asked me this like a couple of years ago, my answer would be definitively Shovel Knight, because it was the first game that I beat all the way through.
Oh wow!
Games I would drop partway or something. And I got pretty good at Shovel Knight. Like I wasn't like actual speedrunning or anything, but I did do a second playthrough, and I was able to go through it like in, I want to say, it was a long time ago, so I think like 8 hours or something, but my memory's foggy. If I try and think too much about the past, I'll dissociate. So.
Wouldn't want that in the middle of recording.
Yeah. But right now it's hard. Because like I really love Stray. Stray is a beautifully crafted game to me. And as somebody who has programmed games before, it is masterfully crafted. Between the level design, the programming, all of it is really well done. The actions and movement feels legitimately like a cat, and that's really hard to pull off. Like, it's already hard to like properly emulate the feel of a person in games. So to emulate a cat is a whole nother thing.
Definitely.
And there's not like existing ideas about how to do it right. But I also really like I said, I just finished getting all the endings for Nier Replicant. And so that game is I really, really love that game. But I don't know, it's hard to say.
You have a lot of favorite games, and one of them is Nier Replicant.
That's true. Yeah.
There we go. That's a good answer. There we go.
The funny thing is, though, I don't game all that much. So, like, the games that I do enjoy are often like the big ones that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I spent too much time programming. It's like actually a problem. They like Joe, I was one of the people where you had to turn off my computer to get me to pay attention in school because in high school it was at the point where they were just like reteaching old stuff. And like, you know how in middle school, maybe this is just my district, but they covered a lot of this like basic content, like history stuff, like the Holocaust and all that. They cover it once, but they don't go into as much detail because the middle schoolers aren't ready for it yet. And then they do it
Yeah.
again in high school for some fucking reason. And then we just never covered like recent history, like the Gulf War or anything like that, which was dumb. Sorry, that was tangential as hell. But where was that going?
I don't know. Wait, how do we get into this topic? Middle school. You know, I also forgot the thread of that conversation too.
Oopsie, I forgot.
Oh dear, whoopsie doopsie doo. So yeah, Julia, one of the things I do know about you is that you often refer to the Unabomber Manifesto.
yeah.
More specifically, the line from
Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
That's right. And you will replace the word industrial revolution with the words industrial revolution with something else.
I have done that a fair number of times now that I think about it.
Yeah. The thing is that when I went to see Matty this weekend, and obviously I told him that I was gonna interview you. He said, "Oh, Julia. Oh yeah, that's the one. She's the one that does the Unabomber Manifesto thing." I was like, yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, what was the most recent one? The Puritan thing, Puritan culture and its consequences.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And then I responded to that with my own interpretation of Puritan culture. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny to think about because obviously Ted Kaczynski would have like hated the fuck out of the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
like don't get me, like he was like very anti-leftist as well as being anti-capitalist, which aren't mutually exclusive points.
Yeah.
But you know, that particular phrase in his Unabomber Manifesto is pretty spot on. And
what I wish that he had done is instead of bombing like people he hated, why didn't he bomb oil pipelines? I mean, he was using
that would have been
pipe
cooler,
bombs, so it's a bit more complicated, but you get what I mean. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to cover his tracks. He only got ratted out because of his fucking brother, SMH.
Yeah, right. Like his brother's like, "Hey, I recognize this guy. Huh, sure seems like my brother who was suspiciously gone missing for so long." Oh well. Do you have a favorite logical fallacy?
Logical fallacy. Oh, well, to have tolerance, you must not tolerate intolerance.
Yeah. I think that's fair enough.
I think that's my favorite fallacy. Fallacy.
I think that's more of like a thought experiment, to be honest, like rather than a fallacy. I mean, it is a very good thought experiment to think about because, you know, unlimited tolerance allows the inclusion of those who aren't tolerant. So therefore, there should be a limit to the amount of tolerance you have to ensure that the rest of the tolerance is protected.
Right.
You know? And it's an interesting theoretical kind of
because there isn't tolerance if the intolerant people are shooting the tolerant people, for being tolerant. That doesn't work.
So those who are intolerant of others should not be tolerated.
Yeah.
Because they will then use tolerance as a weapon against those who are actually tolerant. Which, you know, is
something so much for the tolerant left.
So much for tolerant left. Yeah, kind of thing. It's like this idea that, well, you know, every idea is valuable in the market space. Right? Like everything is up for debate. Everything is up for.
I don't think human rights should be up for debate. Like, actually, I think killing people is kind of bad. Hot take.
Yeah, like killing people is kind of bad. Genocide is bad. Being racist is bad. And yet there are people like, well, actually, we should debate these ideas.
Is racism actually good? Like they've actually said that. Like I've seen people on the right actually say, was slavery actually good for black people? Fuck no.
No.
Fuck no.
And it's funny because
why is this a debate that is being had?
Those arguments were actually what they had during slavery. The Southern propagandist made very. It's a very interesting, one of the most interesting kind of comparative techniques that the propagandists use in the slavery holding states was that they said that the slavery of the black man, of the Negro, is better off than the wage slavery that they would experience in the North.
Well, that's just everyone now. We're all slaves to the machine.
Yeah, like at least in a sense, the wage slavery in the North, you had a choice in the matter, kind of thing. Whereas the slavery in the South, you definitely did not have a choice in the whole matter.
Yeah, you didn't.
You know,
and
like a good slave owner is still a slave owner. You know.
Yeah. And it's like the stuff like, oh, being in prison is actually good because it's free housing, and I'm like, well, yes, it is. There should just be government like housing or whatever.
Everyone should have housing.
Politically extreme. People hate me. Or if I try to talk about politics around anyone that isn't Fedi-pilled, then yeah.
you sound like a fucking communist, like Stalin.
I am the gay transgender woke communist that they warned you about.
Like you mentioned things like, I don't think people should die in the streets. You sound like a fucking wokey. You're another one of those wokies, aren't you?
You're just one of those socialists.
I would like it if nurses didn't have to use food banks. Oh, that's it. You leftists want to give everyone everything for free.
Yeah, actually.
Yes, you are right.
We like society could afford it if we killed the rich.
True. It's true.
But we can't because they have the money.
So, they have the money and they have the control, and control equals money equals control.
They also have a lot of control over information, which is another reason I love Fedi. Nobody can stop me from saying.
Yeah, no one can stop you from saying that on Fedi.
Though you might have to cut that out of the Spotify recording.
Yeah, I think it is actually a crime for you to say that on this podcast.
Sad. Okay, well, Fedi people know what I said. Just like clip it or something. I'm gonna
clip. No, what I'll do. Okay, what I'll do is I'll clip that particular bit, but leave in my commentary, so people are like, what did Julia say? Oh my goodness, that's gonna be so perfect.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the other thing is that true computer freedom won't only appear with truly free kernel modules. The GNU Jihad will end with the microkernel connection GNU Mac herd of Unix replacing daemons. Herd of interfaces representing depth herd of GNUs 33 years ago, soon to be done. What do you think about that?
So true. GNU is the only operating system. It's GNU plus Linux. There is no such thing as BusyBox. There's no such thing as Alpine.
Excuse me, but what you've been referring to as Linux is actually GNU plus.
I love that copy pasta.
Yesterday I wrote a post which was just like the word Linux, and it got like 20 boosts or something.
How many replies were just the Linux copy pasta?
Just one.
Oh,
actually.
That's it? Really?
But everyone was like, yes, Yaseen, you said the right thing. Woo! You said it. Woo.
That's what I've been waiting
Linux.
For. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Woo. Yeah, I know how to play you guys. I've been on the Fedi so long now that I know exactly
I'm
what
so
computer
good at
jokes to
Fedi,
make.
I can literally just post anything and it gets boosted. I don't
True,
know
true.
why.
Yeah, I'm often confused as to what get boosted and what doesn't. Like I feel like it's like yeah, maybe it's like relatable, but then this stuff is relatable and doesn't get boosted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe because it's funny. Like, but this stuff is funny but it doesn't get boosted.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's like simple. Yeah, but complex stuff I write gets boosted a lot, and other stuff doesn't too. Maybe because the image is like funny. Well, sure, my most like boosted post is an image, but also other images I post don't get so many boosts. So
my
the
most boosted posts are ones that I blatantly stole from another platform. Like just straight up.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's Julia law right there. Julia is a
I'm a
thief.
I
Julia's a
steal my
thief.
screenshotted memes.
Ah,
I didn't take the
that's
screenshot myself, I'm sorry.
oh my god, I can't believe
I'm
it,
actually
Julia.
literally only on Fedi now. I've considered making a Tumblr for artists, but Tumblr has the NSFW rule, so like not
Yeah,
all
which is
artists
very
are going
cringe.
to go on there anymore. It's
Yeah, hopefully they don't migrate from Twitter to Mastodon.art because that would
I
kind
still
of suck.
haven't defederated Mastodon.art, but Jesus
Did
Christ, I want
they
to.
did they do it to you?
No. I
No?
am surprisingly based on the stuff from like Riona.agency or whatever, I am not on
Yeah.
any publicly visible block list.
Oh, okay,
With the
okay.
exception of a couple geniuses that block every .moe extension because association with Lolicon somehow. I don't fucking know. Basically anime
Oh, right.
equal porn or something. I don't. Brain dead logic.
Yeah, I mean I can kind of see the logical thread. Like moe means cute, and cute is associated with young girls, and that leads to lolicons. But that's a very,
Yeah.
very, very tenuous link to make. I mean, last I checked, you know, you
I don't think I'm in exactly a very like bad instance. Like I have a couple other transphobes on here, and like that's it.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm the only. By the way, since Ludum migrated away from ZW0, I'm now the only like non-trans femme person on my instance.
That's pretty funny.
It's funny. I am surrounded by women, like
literally,
literally surrounded by women. Just like in Fedi on a general, I am surrounded by women.
honestly.
Which is honestly not too different from real life. Actually, like most of my friends at university were women. So yeah, I am used to it.
Most of my friends in university were trans math, so
okay.
no, but for other reasons, not because I'm male socialized or something. I
No,
hate
of
that
course
fucking
not.
term.
Fucking hell, man!
Male
What
socialized.
a term.
You're my brother in Christ. I'm not socialized at all. I mean, I said earlier that I literally left like the house and saw friends like less than 20 times.
Right.
Like,
yeah. What association do you pick up there? You know.
Yeah, there's not exactly much.
Let's let's end on a good note.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's your question for me?
If you had unlimited bacon, but no more video games or games, unlimited games, but no more games.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't eat bacon, so I think the option. So the option there is kind of so it's between bacon and unlimited video games, but no more new ones.
No, it's just a shitpost question that is repeatedly asked on Chuckle Sandwich podcast by Schlatt. And it's the way.
So wait! You stole a question from another podcast?
Yeah, I steal everything. I'm not original. I mean, not literally everything. Like most of my content is actually original. Like my Fedi posting, that's just garbage coming straight from my brain. But like if I post an image, that's usually stolen. I mean, unless
Right. Okay.
I've made it.
Yeah, it's good to know that we really are related because I post in the same manner.
So true. There is no filter.
There's no filter. It goes the thought appears in my brain, and my fingers just go to the text box and type it in.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing in between. Straight from the hip.
I'm going to install a Neuralink in my head once competitors come out that aren't Musk, and I'm going to post directly to Ipimoe. I'm going to make HTTP requests in my head, and fucking
imagine how much quicker you would be able to post without the need to type
so much posting. Dear God, that would break Federation so quickly.
God.
Like, my followers are on 200 different servers as is. So if I boost anything, like from a small instance, that immediately gets them hit with like basically a DDoS.
Oh wow! You just remind me of the time I killed this one dude's instance, like I think like a couple of weeks back, where I quote posted him to make fun of him because it was a very, very bad post. I was like, oh my god, guys, look at this dweeb, right? And the amount of traffic I must have brought to this guy's.
It took it down. Oh my god!
Took it down. Like you would get a 502 every time you visited. And I think it's because I quoted him, right? And I presume that quoting retrieves.
It requires A, retrieving the quoted post, and B, or if it's not already there, and then also retrieving the user if they are not there. And yeah, Federation is weird.
Right, yeah, okay. So I quoted the guy, so that must have obviously broke him, and then whoever was watching it, whoever was looking at it on Coma or Fishkey would be like, oh wow, what a jag. And then of course people who on Mastodon would see the raw URL, and so they'd click on it and they'd probably
just get a 502. Yeah.
So
because
yeah,
Masto sells when quote posting. Seriously,
yeah,
Tumblr is like one of the gayest platforms out there besides Fedi, and like they basically have quote posting as like their main shtick.
Right.
And it's not toxic. I think the issue was the Twitter allowing Nazis on Twitter.
Yeah.
And to clarify, that was the case before Musk too, right?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Okay. Just to be on the same page.
Yeah, the Nazis were not a Musk thing. They had always been there.
It's just now they're the only ones there.
Yeah.
Nazis and like artists. I don't know why
the thing about the thing about Twitter is that people are just people now have just like they basically gaslit themselves into thinking that Twitter was better before Musk. It wasn't. It was just that Musk made it more obvious.
Musk made it so painfully obvious. Like, he was managing this shit like Wheatley from Portal and just like disconnecting things.
And that like the quote post discourse I think is interesting because people say quote posts with dunking.
Yeah, I'm gonna dunk on you. Get dunked on.
which I guess is understandable because the algorithmic nature and the community nature of Twitter rewarded you for dunking.
For being an asshole.
For being an asshole. As Matty said in the last episode, callback. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
It rewarded that kind of asshole behavior. Whereas on Fedi, if you're an asshole, people will just ignore you.
They will either ignore you or you'll get a Fedi block entry if you're really bad.
Yeah, right. So the quote posting doesn't take away moderation. It doesn't take away
it's like the
from
dumb
blocking
shit where people will block Pleroma instances automatically. Like,
right? Yeah.
Why? Like, yeah, it's easy to spin up, but so is Firefish. Like, Ipimoe was spun up in like 2 days. And the reason it took so long was because of me trying to use a new version of Postgres, which wasn't compatible. So like that was on me.
yeah, exactly. I blaming. I mean, look, the only software I will have the ick about is Soapbox, but that's like for good reason.
I won't defederate on site of a soapbox instance because I do know examples of people that probably didn't know about Alex Gleason or Hatred, and also didn't know they just probably were unaware because having spoken to these people, some of them are even queer. Like there's like a trans fork of soapbox, and I don't know why you would fork it like that. Like the idea of a fork, if the idea of a fork is to get away from the original maintainer, then you should probably not continue pulling updates from that maintainer.
Right. Yeah.
Like you should be a hard fork where you're just making new changes on your own. But I digress there. I do know, like, Eric Uden, for example, Uden.ai.
He did. He did use Soapbox, and of course, username Swift uses a modified fork of
I think
Soapbox.
that's the one. That's the Transbox or whatever it's called. It looks good, but it
Soapbox looks really good. It's just that it has unfortunate links. But yeah. The post quote discourse is something that has been tangled up with Twitter discourse, and the reality is that look. You and I are both on instances that have used quote posting. We've been able to see quote posting for ages, and you know what?
Mastodon just refuses
it. Mastodon just refuses it. Like there's really nothing wrong with quote posts. There's really nothing wrong with them.
There's a lot of things that are features of other software that Gargan just like refuses. Like he called the Miskey cat ears a distraction. Like, okay, bro, I'm not telling you to implement them, but like literally half of the network your software connects to is gay cat girls. Like,
it's true.
Do you expect everything to be fucking serious?
Yeah, exactly. Like the thing is that like this is open source software, man. We don't have to be professional and corporate like all the fucking time, you know? We can have
Mastodon is receiving corporate sponsorships all over the place now. Like
like money?
Microsoft donated several $1,000s, I think, just the other day.
Like real money?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they sponsor Mastodon on GitHub now.
With real money?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Microsoft has a grant fund that is continuous where they'll decide what open source projects to donate to. But this one, I think, is a recurring one, not just a one-time.
Oh, okay.
Which is a little bit more...
It feels conflicting to me.
What do you mean?
Or Microsoft, I mean...
Well, yeah, no, I don't like Microsoft being involved in Fedi stuff, but hopefully Gargan doesn't decide to...
Yeah, I mean, look, you can say many things about Gargan, but I definitely don't think he's a corporate sellout. He has said...
Yeah, he probably is. Like, he's not a sellout, but he's also, like, willing to tolerate it. You know?
Yeah. Like, it's not like he's... he has said a few times before that he will never sell out Mastodon to VCs or whatever, and I know he said that he's gotten many of those offers before.
I will never sell Mastodon, says the man who is part of a federated network.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll go back. I mean, like I don't think he'll go back on that. But obviously, it is kind of weird that Microsoft is giving the software foundation, the Mastodon software foundation thing, some cash. Ooh, crazy. They should give it to me. I can pick up.
They should give it to me so I can actively like go against Microsoft practice. They should pay me for that.
Yeah. They should give it to me. I can pick up a book on C++ at the library, and just go through that like that. I mean, to us, if I picked up a book on C++ tomorrow from the library and read through all of it, I could probably code like a like a competitor to Yandere Simulator before Yandere Simulator comes out?
It's not coming out at this point. Did you hear
Okay.
the recent stuff?
No.
Yeah, he was in contact with a minor, and
Oh.
basically, literally,
Oh.
all the voice actors, all the asset artists, everyone pulled out of it. So, like, if it ever, I think he'll die before it comes out. If it does.
So this is the good. Well, not the good ending, but the wow.
Yeah,
Oh
this is the
wow.
neutral ending.
This is the neutral ending. Yeah, it's like,
well,
this is the end of Yandere Simulator, but oh wow.
I wish it could have ended
Wow.
better, but
Yeah. Yeah. You know how I said I wanted us to have like a happy ending to the podcast?
Oh. I'm very bad at derailing.
No,
things.
it's okay. It's funny. It's funny because we've it's what I like I say that post has come to life in this episode. I ask you a simple question, you're like, oh yeah, and then we speak about something else for like 50 minutes, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this other thing, and then now we're here talking about Yandere Simulator and how I should take out a book on C++ from the library. By the way, I know some tech people are going to be like, "Oh, actually, Yaseen, you should take out a different book." I'm like, I don't care, man. You should use
Rust instead. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend Rust to a very beginner in programming. I would say pick up a different language first and then try and
like Spanish.
True.
I remember this one time I saw her in this girl's dating profile that the languages she spoke were English, French, Arabic, and C++.
Nice. Queen behavior.
So I don't know how you like speak that, but good for some, I suppose.
They just start like listing off class declarations out loud at you.
Oh yeah, baby, that's what gets me going at night. Oh, I love those class decorations.
Brilliant.
I think that's probably a good place to end it.
Yeah, it's probably a good place to end.
Thank you very much to Julia for joining me this episode.
I had a lot of fun. This was enjoyable. If
thank you
ever want to do it again, I am completely down.
Oh, that's excellent. I would definitely have to have you on again.
Mm-hmm. But there is a queue of a lot of people that want to be on.
Oh yeah, you are not wrong about that. That like I get so many people saying, "Oh, Yaseen, can I be on the show? Can I be on the show?" And I'm like, how do I say no? Because the list, like the reality is that the list is like really long. Like I mean, I think I asked you to join, which is a different thing entirely. But like the list of people who I want to put on is growing like by the day, and I think at this point, I just gotta say,
probably not.
But probably not.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very happy that you came on. I would definitely love to do this with you again. This is proof why unstructured podcasts work.
True.
And that was Julia, and I am Yaseen. This episode was written, directed, hosted. Nope, I didn't write this. This episode.
Everything I'm reading is on a script.
Yeah, that's right.
Including the very off tangential thing.
Yes, all that is on a script. That's right. I wrote the script. Directed by me. Guest starring Julia.
Yeah.
And this has been the Yascast. We are currently recording live from inside your wardrobe. Please do not open the door, otherwise we will both fall out and it'll just get messy.
Yeah.
That's good night from me.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
See ya.